a good question. And that's a tough one for even me, being a board member, to answer. There's so many variables in education. One of the things that is occurring today that we as a district need to be fully aware of, and it is the proliferation of charter schools. Charter schools are marketing and coming out to people and saying they can do a better job than public schools can. And I don't believe that's the case. I never have. So the way we're going to be able to perform better than charter schools and get beyond the image that they have created of independent school districts is going to be to continue to offer choice within the district. And I think EPISD is doing a wonderful job with the expansion of some of our magnet programs. One big change versus when I went to high school, for example, is when I went to high school, you went to the high school that you lived in and you got the education from that school. There was no policy that allowed you to go and apply to another school, even if it were better, right? Today, that's not the case. Today, you as a student can pick where you want to go. You can pick the education that you want to follow, that you want to pursue. So if you do have a desire to be a nurse, a doctor, now you have two options. You have the Silver Magnet program and you have the program up to Franklin. If dual credit is your thing, you have the early college programs and you have IB. You have the business magnet out at Bowie High School, you have law enforcement magnet out at Austin, and then you have New Tech. And so the options exist within the ISD, and I think that's what we need to continue to explore. What kind of options and choices that can we bring into the district for students to be able to choose upon? Because it's not just picking your community high school anymore, it's really picking a career path. And you can pick that school. And if we're successful in that, and I think we will be, then we can mediate the issues that charters bring. And that's, you know, at a board level important, because charter schools take away our students, and with that student, they take away funding. And it makes it harder, and there lies the difficulty, because a charter school, it takes, for every student that goes, it takes the ADA, which is the daily rate that a district gets, right? And so we lose that money. With less money, it makes it much more difficult for us to be able to compete against the charter school. So innovations are important. We need to continue to be on the track of expanding opportunities for children, ensure that we always have the best possible education that we offer to the students, so that when charters come, and they're coming, the choice should be clear that the independent school district is where the kids need to be.
I think it's the teacher. I mean, really, at the end of the day, and you guys know this, you know it better than I do, because you're, you know, but you're going to leave here and you're going to be gone in 10 years, and there'll be 3 or 4 teachers that you remember. Probably one of them is sitting in this room, and you'll say, but for that teacher, you know, I wouldn't have done this, or I wouldn't have, you know. Teachers really are the essential core ingredient to a quality education. And if you don't, you know, unfortunately, you don't sort of recruiting the very finest teachers is very hard, because we don't pay them like you would pay normal professionals. That's a goal of mine, but we don't really have the budget for it. You know, we get some of our budget from local taxpayers, we get some of it from the state. And we really, as a country, as a state, as a community, are underpaying our teachers. If they went out in any other profession with the skill sets that they have, with the education that they have, they would probably make, you know, 50% more than they're making now in public schools. So usually what that means for you guys is that means that you're either have really passionate, hardworking teachers that just believe in the mission of education and believe what it can do, or you have folks that just sort of are dialing it in, who might have not have had other options, and that, you know, so our goal really as an organization has to be, how do we get more of those really passionate, hardworking folks for the amount that we can pay them, and hopefully work to pay them more.
Teaching students, giving them the proper education to go to whatever school they want to go to. If they don't want to go to college, to get them pointed in the direction of a technical aspect. I believe one of the most underrated programs we have in our district is the technology, career and technology education program that a lot of people don't even know about. We have, I used to teach there, that's why I'm advocating it. We have programs where it would allow you to graduate from high school, start immediately with a good paying job, and they'll pay for your college if you want to go. So the most important thing is educating children. And the most important thing I can do is to support that education however I see fit. Where I see a need, I want to give the teachers what they need to do their job.
I believe personally that every student needs the opportunity or should have the opportunity to reach their full potential. And that potential is different for every single individual in our school district, every student in the school district. So as a trustee, when I look at situations or initiatives, are we providing the best opportunity for every student to succeed? And that's what my expectations are. So I expect that our students, my expectation was that every student have the opportunity, once they graduate, to go to college, if they choose so. If they don't want to go to college, maybe they want to go to the military. Have we prepared them to enter that field? Some don't want to go to college, some don't want to go to the military. They might want to go to a trade school. Have we prepared them well enough to go to a trade school? Have we given them an opportunity to pursue their next step in education?
I'm going to intervene really quick.
Yeah.
What are you doing to make that happen? Like you said, you wanted to get every student to go to college. What are you doing?
What steps are we taking?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have board goals. Some of our board goals you're seeing today is interactive learning, having collaborative learning environments. That's number one. Number two, what am I personally looking at? I'm personally looking at our literacy in our school district. If you can't read, you're going to not succeed. So literacy is very important to me. I want to make sure every student has the ability to read at every grade level that they're in. Also, I believe, I've had the opportunity to visit universities over the last several years. Students are asked, did you do on your SAT and ACT? They don't ask, how did you do on your STAR test? Does that make sense? So for me, it's really important that we are offering the best learning courses and preparation courses earlier in the student's path to graduate versus later. Meaning I think we're offering right now these courses as a sophomore and as a junior, those classes even as seniors. Those classes should be offered as 8th graders and 9th graders. You should be taking the tests as sophomores and juniors. It's too late almost in the game to be cramming for a test as a senior. There's a lot of room for improvement in that area from my point of view. So I'm concerned about literacy. I'm concerned about Algebra 1 in our school district. I'm concerned about SAT and ACT scores, because that's what people are asking. And the STAR test, the standardized STAR test, the testing you have to take, that will take care of itself if we're working and addressing these issues. And everybody will improve, right? That's my answer. So my actions is this: I've asked some of these items to be put on curriculum and instruction workshops, because we have committees within the district. So I've asked our superintendent and those individuals, trustees that sit on these committees to address and look into these issues more.
Okay.
That's specifically what I've asked them to look at
Thank you.
as a trustee.
We never stop learning. I think that's the most important aspect of education, is to make everyone, our students, our teachers, our administrators, our board, aware that they still have to continue learning. And it doesn't just end there, it also goes with parents at home. I mean, how are we to set an example and say, you need to go to college, you need to go to graduate and further on? If we stop ourselves from learning, we have to continue learning.
Well, going back to my comment that I made before, the first settlers from Europe very first thing they did when they got here, besides securing food sources, is to set up public education. And the reason they did that is they were coming out of, they were coming out of Europe, and they were a product of the Enlightenment. And the reason why they wanted to have education was so that they didn't slip back into the sort of the intellectual dark ages. So I think education really has the power to move our society forward into the 21st century. And I think in that respect, the primary focus of education is to prepare our children for the jobs of the future. So if we're not doing a good job of preparing kids for the workforce, I don't think we're doing our jobs.
Again, I think it's always going to be a work in progress. Everyone's got different ideas of how things need to be done, and it's important, I think, that people understand that you don't have to be an expert to sit on a school board. You just have to be able to listen and make the very best decisions that you can. One of the experiences that I had early on the school board is, again, I served with 3, I think, outstanding members and 3 members that were questionable. I got put in situations, I think probably long before I should have been put in those situations, where it was a 3-3 vote and I had to break the vote. What I learned from those experiences is a couple different things. That number one, basically you vote to the best of your ability with the information that you have. And if you make a mistake, we go back and fix it. Number one. Number two, you can't take everything into consideration from the standpoint of exceptions when you make a decision. Again, you have to make the very best decision, and then you take the exceptions into account. Because you'll never make the decision if you take all the different exceptions, because as you all already know, when you make decisions at this level, someone's always going to be upset at you. And again, you just have to be able to understand why you made the decision, be able to explain that to people, and I think, again, continue to move forward and do the best you can.